So let's talk about this massive streaming deal that just completely blew up. Netflix made this historic power play, and almost immediately, a top government regulator fired a massive warning shot. But here's the crazy part. It looks like he was aiming at the wrong company on purpose. We need to get into what's really going on here. Okay, so let's just start with the statement that basically set the whole thing on fire. These are the exact words from FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. Now remember, the FCC is the Federal Communications Commission. They're a super powerful government agency regulating pretty much everything you watch and how you get your internet. So when a commissioner speaks up this loudly, you listen. And I mean, this isn't some dry legal memo. This is a public missile, and he aimed it right at the biggest deal in streaming history, calling it a threat to the nation. And that really is the central question here, isn't it? It's a move that, when you first look at it, just doesn't quite add up. But when you look a little closer, you start to realize this isn't about what it seems to be about at all. This is a high-stakes political chess match, and the move you see, well, that's not always the one that really matters. All right, first up, a regulator's public missile. Let's really dig into the attack itself, because this wasn't some quiet memo or a closed-door meeting. No, this was a very deliberate, very public shot across the bow, and it was designed to make a huge splash. So here's the deal. You've probably seen in the headlines, Netflix wants to buy a huge chunk of Warner Bros. Discovery. And the logic on the surface seems pretty simple, right? Just combine forces in what has become a really brutal market. I mean, just imagine for a second, one subscription that gets you Stranger Things, the entire Harry Potter universe, Game of Thrones, and the whole HBO back catalog. For us, watching at home, that sounds kind of amazing, doesn't it? But hold on, because just as everybody was starting to wrap their heads around that massive idea, the story took a really, really strange turn. This is the point where the official story just kind of falls apart, and the real story begins. Okay, next section, the Goliath streaming deal. And honestly, Goliath is the perfect word for it. We are talking about a true media titan that would absolutely dwarf all of its competition and just completely reshape the entire entertainment world as we know it. Now, this is what's so wild. Check this out. The very same official who is calling this deal a Goliath, well, he's on the record calling Netflix's own growth fantastic. So wait a minute. Why is he so fiercely against them buying more growth, but he was totally fine with them building it themselves? This is the clue right here. This tells you we might be looking at the wrong target. So if it's not really about Netflix, then what is it about? This is where things get really good. See, the attack on Netflix, that wasn't the main event. It was a very calculated warning shot, and it was aimed at a completely different war. Okay, let's connect the dots that the headlines are missing. First, you have to know there's another, much more desperate deal being talked about, a potential merger between Paramount and Warner Bros. Second, you got to understand that the FCC's power over these two potential deals is completely different. And third, once you see that, Carr's statement stops being confusing and boom, it becomes a crystal clear message. You put those three pieces together and the whole puzzle just snaps into place. And this right here, this just lays out the whole game perfectly. So look at the left side, the Netflix deal. That merger would get reviewed for antitrust issues by the Department of Justice. The FCC doesn't have much direct say there. But now, look at the right side, a Paramount-Warner deal? That involves broadcast networks like CBS, which have licenses that are directly under the FCC's control. They have the power to make or break that deal all by themselves. That's the choke point. And here's the absolute bottom line. The public attack on Netflix was never actually meant to stop Netflix. It was the signal to Warner and to Paramount. The message, without saying it out loud, was, we do not want your merger to happen, and if you try it, we will use our power to stop you. The whole Netflix thing was just the megaphone they used to shout that message. Okay, so that's the whole DC power play. It's a fascinating chess match for sure. But how does all this high-level corporate drama actually trickle down to us? I mean, what does it mean for your monthly subscription bill and for what you actually get to watch? First, let's just quickly define a key term you see here, ARPU. It stands for Average Revenue Per User, which is really just a fancy corporate way of saying the price of your monthly subscription. Just keep that little acronym in mind. I mean, just think about it logically. When you only have a few choices for where to get your favorite shows, those companies don't have to fight as hard to get your business. They can raise prices and, well, you'll probably just have to pay up. That ARP we just talked about, it's pretty much a one-way street, and it's headed up. Fewer options means they don't have to compete on price as much. It's also important to understand that this isn't just some bold genius strategy. For a lot of these companies, it's kind of a panic move. Warner is struggling and really needs to sell some stuff. Netflix's once unstoppable growth has definitely slowed down. What they're both chasing is this thing called vertical integration. It's the industry dream of owning everything, from the moment an idea is born to the moment it hits your screen. It's all about controlling the entire pipeline of entertainment. But for the government, the concern goes way deeper than your wallet. The real fear, especially in a heated election year, is one single company having way too much control over the stories we see, the news we get, and basically the pop culture that shapes how we think. This is about power over the entire narrative. So the big takeaway from all of this is that the era we used to call the streaming wars, with dozens of services all fighting for your subscription, yeah, that's officially over. A brand new and honestly more brutal era has just begun, the consolidation wars, where these giants have to start swallowing each other just to survive. And that leaves us with this one big final question. When a regulator uses a public threat like this, are they protecting us, the consumers, from a giant monopoly that would jack up prices and limit what we get to see? Or are they overstepping their bounds and basically interfering in the market to pick winners and losers based on their own agenda? That is the debate at the absolute heart of all of this.